Well, hello there, Paranormal Pixie, John, Gary Spikes. We got Val with Roger Blair. Hello there, Leonard, John, Catherine, Moon at Noon. Hello there, Mort. Hey, Mort, how have you been? Sonny 11. Welcome, Sonny. How you doing there? Resnick. Where have you been, Resnick? Nice to see you there, Denise. Well, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, this edition is brought to you by, yes, you named it, Texas Beard Company. Thank you, Texas Beard Company, for partnering up with Bigfoot Outlaw. It's in stock, now shipping. Check out our shopping link in the comments in our YouTube description. Thank you for partnering up with us. So there, Blaine, Brandon, happy Memorial Day. How are y'all doing today?
Good, bro.
I think I'm all right.
Good.
I think I'm okay.
Since I got my applause button working now, round of applause for everybody. Hello there, Cheyenne. Can't forget about Cheyenne. So welcome. Yes. So today, remember last week we was talking about fossils, right?
Yeah.
So, and I was like, reach out to Bill Howard and see if he'll come on our show. Well, guess who's backstage? Mr. Howard.
He's gonna regret that.
Hey, welcome, Squad Taller. No, let's go ahead and bring him on. Mr. Howard, come on down, sir. Welcome.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Bill.
Man.
How you doing there? So introduce yourself and tell us some background information on you.
Background information. Well, first of all, I think this is the second time I've been on one of your podcasts.
Yes, sir.
And evidently, I'm the only one that's sucker enough to come on Memorial Day.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
I'm a photographer and a filmmaker out of North Carolina. And if you can see behind me, those two films, and there's one that's on this side that you can't see. A lot of my films have to do with like Bigfoot or Ghost, or I've got a docuseries where we interview alien abductees called Encounters. It came out before the Steven Spielberg Encounters came out on Netflix. And we're actually filming season 3 of it right now.
Right on.
And for hobbies, I collect autographed baseballs and I hunt fossils.
Nice.
Interesting.
So, who signed your balls?
Don't tell anybody. No, so like right now, the active collection I'm working on is the 500 home run hitters. With
Nice. Very nice.
Wow.
The rarest being Mel Ott.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay.
That's
Yep, the
impressive.
guy from Alabama.
And I've got 21 of the 500 home run hitters. So
Very nice.
it's going to be a little bit to get a Jimmy Fox or a Babe Ruth, but
Yeah.
probably the next one I'll go after is Mickey Mantle. I used to have Mantle, but I don't any longer. I sold it a while back and kind of building that collection back up.
Got it. Nice.
Wow. That's pretty interesting.
Very interesting.
So how are y'all doing?
Oh, doing good. Not too bad. Staying busy as always. So thank you. Yeah. And I greatly appreciate it. So I didn't know. I forgot about this being Memorial Day. And I reached out to Bill today.
We're on. We're all good.
I reached out to him earlier today. I was like, are you still coming on?
Well, look, my cousin's daughter got married Saturday in Charlotte, North Carolina, or just out in Concord, North Carolina.
Yep.
It was race weekend. You got the Coca-Cola NASCAR race.
No.
You got 500 going on, and I think one of the drivers was supposed to fly down. So I was like,
Correct.
Man, we're having to work around this traffic, but we're going to luck out, I think.
Wow.
No, it was bad. I live in South Carolina, and I had a bunch of buddies going up to the race, and they were like, they didn't get home till 5 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
So yeah.
In my prior life, I used to be in automotive, and we would get tickets from Valvoline, for instance. This was back when Mark Martin was racing for Valvoline.
Right.
And it's a tough drive back when the race ends, especially if you have to work on Monday.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what's so nice here. It's like Talladega's like an hour from here. So I'd literally go up 231 to Talladega, drive straight back 231. Once I get past like Sylacauga, it's smooth sailing all the way home.
Yeah.
Watch your mouth.
Yeah.
So
Bill,
you could have another 100,000 or 200,000 people in a town.
Right.
Yeah. I know on race day at Talladega, it becomes the 5th largest city in Alabama in April and October. So,
and I think Conceal is the same way. It becomes the second. It's either the second or third largest.
Yeah.
During race weekend. So.
Yeah, and I live like 15 minutes from Clemson University, so when it's a home game, good Lord. Yeah. Of course, I grew up around here. I'm used to it, but I remember back when they sucked and nobody wanted to see them. It was enjoyable. Now they win a lot. Yeah.
But, Clemson's got the infrastructure now to kind of get you in and out. I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan.
Yeah.
And so when the Carolina Panthers came into the league, we played in Clemson to begin with, or, Carolina played in Clemson to begin with.
Yeah.
And I talked at the time she was not my wife, but I talked my wife into let's go to see Tampa down in Clemson because that would be probably the closest I would get to it.
Yeah. Right.
I had no idea, 25 years later, I would actually, be a photographer on the sidelines covering games like that. But
right on.
Yeah, I went to go see and Tampa won that game.
Yeah, I was at that game actually. I went to every home game that Carolina had when they were playing at Death Valley.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't buy tickets. I sold stuff and whatever and got in. But yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, seeing Joe Montana and all the greats. Yeah, it was fun.
And I've covered Clemson football was it 2 seasons ago when Clemson and Georgia played in Charlotte?
Yep.
For that opening weekend game. I covered that game. Of course, I cover them when they play like State or something like that. But as far as in Clemson, I've only covered Clemson basketball there. I haven't covered the football team there.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. Yeah, it's it's fun though. So dinosaurs are fake, right? All of them?
Dinosaurs are fake. The world is only 6,000 years old and it's flat.
Yep.
So. There we go.
Well, thanks. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a good night.
Well, you forgot this part. We're the center of the universe, too. You forgot that part.
Yeah, it's center of the. Well, there is no such thing as a universe. It's just the firmament.
It's true.
Yeah, we're in the glass dome, and God shakes us every now and then.
Yes.
So we're just a snow globe. Sweet.
Yeah. In fact, that may be what killed the dinosaurs. We shook the snow globe, and a meteor fell out. And that's what did it.
Right.
So they died of shaken baby syndrome. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, join us next week where our guest will be Bill again.
Of course, we're joking about this, and I'm a Christian, but I believe that the Earth is only 6,000 years old, and I understand that we are a ball and not a flat surface. So
yes.
But if you do want to
there's a lot of flat Earth stuff, and it's fun to read, and especially in the comment sections.
It's hilarious.
Right. Yeah, it's entertaining, that's for sure.
But if you want to take us down the road with the fossils, go ahead. And after that, we can talk about some of your films, especially with the Bigfoots and so forth.
Okay.
Ghosts and Bigfoots, yes.
As far as like the fossils, really, a year ago about this time, or I guess it was in June a year ago, my wife and I were vacationing up in West Virginia. And I mean, just like all little boys, right? We're always interested in dinosaurs and, thinking that we're going to dig up a huge, brontosaurus bone in our backyard, things like that when we were growing up. We'd be playing with little plastic toys and stuff. So I've always had that interest. And I was watching, I got into a wormhole on YouTube, and it just, for whatever reason, it dawned on me. Growing up, you're going, if there were so many dinosaurs, and we're talking going back, the dinosaurs, 66 million years ago is when they died, but we're actually closer to like a Tyrannosaurus Rex than a Tyrannosaurus Rex is to a Stegosaurus. That's how long dinosaurs were there. It seems like, well, fossils ought to be everywhere. And, in grade school or whatever, to walk outside and you didn't see fossils. Even if you dug 6 inches into the ground, which was a lot when you're little,
right?
You didn't find fossils. But I guess it kind of dawned on me that, well, actually fossils are everywhere. And, most of the shells that you see at the beach, they're fossils. The shark's teeth are fossils. They're not, very seldom are you going to come across a shark's tooth that is from a modern or present day shark, for instance. Most of the time it's a fossil. And as I kept getting further and further into that, and I found some, it's interesting to me as far as the fossils go, I decided to do a documentary on fossil hunting. I'm an outdoorsman myself. I mean, I'm as comfortable sleeping in the tent as I am in the bed. Mm-hmm. And so instead of hunting living creatures typically when I hunt, it would be with a bow and arrow. I would say hunt some dead creatures that have been dead for a very long time.
Yeah.
And so the name of the documentary is called Finding Fossils. As I kept finding fossils and building up my collection to the point that my wife said, I can't collect any more fossils. I had to convince her, this is research. I got to have the fossils, got to have the rocks, right?
Right.
And so I recently started a YouTube channel called Finding Fossils that allows me to put out, 5, 10, 15-minute videos where I do the hunting and then I do the revealing of what those fossils are.
Right on.
And it'll build up to the documentary when I get ready to release it as I keep filming. It's just the YouTube thing will be a little bit more fun and not as formal as the documentary would be.
Yeah, gotcha. It's pretty interesting.
But yeah, for here in North Carolina.
Oh, he froze up.
Oh no, I think the fossil just got him.
He got fossilized.
Oh no, but that's. Oh,
hi, Grizz.
Oh,
Lord.
Hello there.
Hello, Chris.
I was like, I saw Grizz move. I was like, where'd he go? There he is.
What's going on? I'm looking for his Finding Fossils YouTube. While
Virgil loves your beard.
The powers that be decide to kick him off.
That's interesting. I was going to ask him what type of fossils he's got. He must have a heck of a fossil collection.
So that's what I want to see, if he can show us some fossils, just some.
No, that's why they shut his feed off.
It's the government.
He's like, these people are telling some truth. We need to shut him down.
Yep.
Is it Bill Lynch Films?
Yeah, we discouraged their flat Earth theory. So
there he is.
Bill, we lost you.
Usually I get cut like this when I'm talking about the alien abductions.
Yeah,
right. I know, right?
I don't know what the CIA's got on me on this one. We'll have to figure this out.
We figured the flat earthers got you.
Yeah, they did. Here's a good question.
Let's see. What's the biggest and smallest fossil?
Please tell me you got some in reach.
Is called. Go ahead.
Do you got any in reach you can show and tell as you talk? Do you have any in reach where you can show and tell as you talk?
I send you pictures. Will that work?
Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect.
Yeah, I can show them as you're talking.
Okay.
While
we're talking,
Bill, is there places?
Pull up some stuff here.
Yeah, Bill,
sure.
Is there places that you love to go? I used to watch that show on History Channel where the guys live out on the ranch and they'll go out there and dig up fossils off their own land. I thought that was pretty cool.
Man, I wish I could do something like that. And next time I travel a lot with my photography.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely gonna search more when I get to go out west again. We were out west in Colorado a couple of weeks ago, and for that, I broke away for a day and went to I hope I'm pronouncing it right, the Forsyth Fossil Bed National Monument.
Okay,
and
yes.
most of those are leaves and insects, but I found just a really cool wasp, for instance.
Oh, interesting.
And let's see if I can try to pull some of this stuff up while we talk. But they were more, when I say current, closer to our age, as far as the last 10, 15 million years. We don't have a lot of dinosaurs in North Carolina. We do have, there's been some hadrosaurs that have been found down toward the Fayetteville area, which is not far off I-95 toward the southeastern part of the state. We are known for our megalodons, lots of megalodon teeth. There's a small town in the east called Aurora, and they just had their fossil festival this last weekend. And the meg teeth, you can get some that as big as the palm of your hand here, and you're talking 5-6 inches. That's a big tooth.
Yeah,
and especially if you think about a shark clamping down on you. He's going to swallow you whole. He's not going to chew you up. He's going to swallow you whole. But to grab you, to pull you in, it's going to hurt for that one moment before death enters your body.
Yeah.
See if I can pull some of this. I may have to get a phone here to send it to you. But I've got some really small fossils as well, and I'm talking the size of, say, a baby aspirin. The largest fossil I currently have is I was in West Virginia during the winter, and I was searching some shale rock there, shale, S-H-A-L-E, and this is in the mountains. This is in the Appalachians, and this particular area used to be under the ocean. And I found these little tracings or tracks, and while I was trying to investigate what they were, I came across the West Virginia Geological and Economic Survey, and they had the exact same tracks. And they said, if you find these, contact us. Our geologist wants to talk to you. And so I sent pictures to him, and he said, yeah, that's exactly what we're looking for. It's called pteridictines, and it's got these little padded like double slots, and that's kind of the picture I'm going to try to send you here, Grizz.
Okay.
But it was in an area that they didn't know that they were in, and this is kind of a good trace fossil, or not a trace fossil. It is a trace fossil. It's a good marker for the geological time period, and so they were going to redo their maps because of that, which was kind of neat. But I've got one. I pulled a slat that's probably 4 feet by 2 feet. And it's got dozens of these tracks on it. And these tracks were formed by what's called a brittle star, which is a starfish that has these real long, skinny legs that are much skinnier than what a pin would be, for instance. And as they would scurry across the bottom, they would use those legs to kind of walk. And that's what would create the tracks. I do have a couple of dinosaur fossils. I've got a hadrosaur and a vertebra from a triceratops. But I don't have those to show yet. They're actually being prepped and being sent in. So those will be kind of cool.
Now, is it true that, because I read and I saw somewhere that most of the bones in museums are not actually bones, they're reproductions because they're radioactive?
Yeah, there's they can be radioactive. Now, for instance, in North Carolina, we've just opened an exhibit at the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences called Dueling Dinosaurs. And this, I think it came from Montana. It's a Triceratops and a Tyrannosaurus that were engaged in battle, and they died together.
Nice.
The sediment filled up on them and stuff like that. Well, they're actively extracting those bones, and this is the first open paleontological lab, if I pronounced that correctly, where you can actually, like, you go up to this little bar or desk, I guess, and the paleontologists are behind it, and they're actively extracting the bones from the matrix.
Oh, now that's cool.
But they always have one person there to talk with you. And to me, that's just phenomenal. I love it.
Now, where is this again?
This is the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay.
And it's a big exhibit. It just opened. The picture that you've got there, you see that track there?
Yes, I see it.
That's the pterodictines that I was telling you about. So
Nice.
that's where one of the legs from the brittle star, which they think it's from the brittle star, kind of worked his way, walking through the sediment, through the mud, and then it hardened, and that's what's left. About 20 miles from this area, I've found several trilobites, which, that's one of the more famous fossils. That's from the Devonian period. Basically think of them as a cross between a crab and a roach.
Yeah,
they live on the bottom of the ocean, and they have these little armor plates on them, and they would scurry about, and they leave a track very similar to what the pterodictines is. They leave a feeding track, so they have these little things in the front that scurry across the mud, and it leaves these doubled tracks like that as well, except it's much bigger than the tracks that, like I showed you there.
What's interesting to me?
Any questions while I try to find some more photos to see?
No, this is what's interesting to me, that they'll leave tracks and they were underwater. You'd figure that the ocean movement stuff would erase a lot of that stuff. So it's something must have had to happen for them to be covered where at that spot at that time where it saved those tracks. That's pretty cool, though.
Oh yeah, it is. And what it is, you have the mud and the sediment kind of forms over it. Now the place in Colorado I went at the Florissant Fossil Bed National Monument. What happened there? You had Lake Florissant, or however you pronounce it, wherever you put the accent. There's a huge inland lake in Colorado, and of course the land wasn't quite the way it looks now. But there was an active volcano, I think it said it was 18 miles from the lake, that had a major eruption. And so you had all of this ash, think of like Pompeii, where you have the people that were just ashen, cemented type stuff. Well, this ash fell on top of the leaf debris from the trees. It fell on top of the insects, and it did it so quick, it just buried it under it. And then mixed with the water, you've got a cement. And
true.
That cement is what the shell is.
Yeah, it's like when you were in Colorado. I was just north of you one time. I got a buddy that lives in Cheyenne, and we were going across his property. Dude, I probably found about 40 to 50 just shell fossils just sitting there laying on the ground.
And and again, that's the thing that kind of amazed me is you sit there and go, if there's so many creatures, there's been billions of species.
Yeah.
They've got to be all around. Well, by gosh, they are all around. We just didn't know how to look for them.
Exactly.
Right? And once you figure out how to look for them, I mean, I'm 150 miles inland from the Atlantic. I'm off of I-95.
Yeah.
And there's a really good place to fossil hunt about 30 minutes from where I'm at. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I come back with whale fossils. These are from baleen whales that, the vertebrae are this big.
Yeah.
Right.
And just to think that whale were swimming here, it's a little bit mind boggling. Besides those whale fossils, the ribs and stuff, you'll find megalodon teeth or ancient great white teeth, that type thing. the horseshoe crabs, they don't necessarily come from the trilobites, but they're the closest living relative to the trilobites. All of the trilobites were killed off in one of the great extinction events.
Interesting.
See if I can pull some more stuff up here for you.
See, that's very interesting because I love, you like get to be a little kid again and talk about dinosaurs and fossils and how they were created.
Well, and my question: how many fossils have been found from the Younger Dryas period?
From which period?
The Younger Dryas period. The second the second ice age.
So we've got here in North Carolina, we don't have that many from the last ice age, but Florida is, it was filled with them. I mean, you can get giant sloth, you can get dire wolves, you can get the saber-toothed cats, you can get camelids and horse-like species. This one type creature is called a hell pig, which is closer to a horse than it is a pig, but it looks like a great big wild boar.
Nope.
The picture I just sent you, Grizz, that's that came from Virginia near Williamsburg, and that is a whale ear bone, for instance. So it's just all kinds of neat stuff that you can find.
Yeah, it is neat.
Yeah,
and I just sent in the first trilobites that I found too.
I didn't get anything, Bill.
Should be it hasn't gone through.
Oh, okay.
Just a second. I don't know
what's
what's
the flat earthers again. Don't worry about it.
I think we're having some service problems here, to be honest with you.
No, not a problem.
There's been a lot of weird things since the eclipse happened. So,
yeah. Like I've been playing hell with my internet.
Yeah, like a horse pig. Yes, like a horse pig. And I got into watching some of these YouTube channels. The two that stand out to me are Paleo Chris and Wild Kyle, and they're both out of Florida. But I've learned a lot just watching how they hunt for the different fossils, and it's just a fun way to waste your time.
I got it.
I mean, that's not a waste of time. If you're doing something like that you're getting satisfaction out of finding these things that are millions and millions of years old, and you're touching them probably for the first time since they actually became fossils. That's amazing to me. Yeah.
And like this picture up here, that the scale is in inches. So you're looking at a 4 by 2.5, 2 3/4 inch whale ear bone.
Wow.
And look how much it looks like our ear.
I was fixing to say that.
Yeah.
It looks like you just got like a hunk of meat off of somebody's ear.
And it's super dense. It's very heavy. And it's rock-like. But yeah, that's just stuff like that just blows my mind. And sitting there and go, gosh, this was, this is 7 million years ago.
Right.
Yep. And it has been lost in the mud under the sand until I found it.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's just so interesting to me. And I actually found that looking for, shale gasoline, the yellow shale.
Yep.
So that is very similar to what's called a Chesapeake Jeffersonius, and that's the state fossil of Virginia.
Really?
That was the first fossil found in North America when the Europeans came over.
Oh, wow.
And these shales get, this big, as big as my head.
Yeah.
And that's what I was actually there looking for, because I can't find shales here in North Carolina. I can now. I know where to look. But I've never, going to the beach, you don't find those. You find them about this big around.
Right.
And I did some internet sleuth work and found a spot where I could go. So just a small creek outside of Williamsburg, and that's where I found a lot of whale bones. I got several vertebra, several rib bones, And I mean, this ear bone isn't worth maybe $15-$20, but to me, it was the first one I found. So it just blows my mind.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is awesome, man.
And then that
picture, that would be like $1 million find. It's like, this is something you found that's been there for millions of years. And do you think it was the same whale that you were finding pieces of, or several different whales?
Probably different ones.
Okay.
Probably different ones. Yeah. And the picture that's up now, that is the first trilobite that I found. And that was Northern Virginia. And the dollar there is to give you a kind of a scale. Of course, it's broken up. And, you said, okay, where can I find these things? I can't dig 20 feet into the ground. So you look through like riverbeds and things like that, where the sides of the river or the creeks has cleared out and eroded over the decades and the eons, that type of thing. Okay. And so that allows you to find this stuff. Well, the trilobite there, I found it at a road cut. So we're in the mountains of Virginia, and they have to cut the roads for the interstates and the parkways and stuff like that. Right. And you just look through those rocks, and that's where I found the trilobite. And I found that one, and then I found another rock that's maybe about as big as the shape I'm making there, and it has several that's embedded in it. I just haven't had time to clean it up and extract it yet.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, now, Bill, you got me. Anytime I see pieces of shell, I'm taking something and trying to crack it open and see what I can find out of it now. I appreciate that.
And that's the thing, you look at some of this stuff, and I in my mind, I can visualize where I've seen things in the past that, that would have been a fossil, and I just had no clue.
Yeah.
So, I don't have like a big Tyrannosaurus skull or anything like that. Those are special finds. Those are stuff typically is going to be in the Badlands, Wyoming, Montana, stuff like that. But one day I would love, I might get a chance to do something like that, and you just keep learning and
yeah, exactly, man.
Trying to figure out how this whole world comes together. And that's one thing, the four of us are sitting here talking. How great is it that we can nerd out over fossils? We can nerd out over autograph baseballs. We can nerd out over Bigfoot or aliens.
Or ghosts or everything.
We'll never have the answers before we die. Where do we care? There's so much stuff here we'll never get to the point that we just know it all.
Yep. I do have a question for you, Bill, and it's always been on my mind. How is it that we have cave paintings of people riding dinosaurs and dinosaurs on caves and people hunting them?
So before I got into fossils, I want to say this was 2021. We were in COVID, and I had a big job out west, photography job that carried me. I took kind of the southern route. I went through like Interstate 40 all the way to like LA and Anaheim, and then I had to take the northern route back. And I was able to go to Dinosaur National Park, and they've got those petroglyphs there. Mm-hmm. And you see that. I mean, you see stuff like that, but you also see the alien-looking big teardrop head, and you see the UFO-looking flying saucer type paintings and stuff as well. Man, Grizzly, I'll never be able to answer that question for you. We will never have that knowledge.
No, and
but
funny about that.
Doesn't just blow your mind.
It blows my mind. Because we were taking, like last week, we had pictures of like pottery and bowls that had them ride triceratops, and it's like, and we knew that from historical stuff is they only drew stuff that they could see.
Mm-hmm.
So like, were there a few maybe leftover dinosaurs that we didn't know about, or
that's
And then you're getting into the cryptids a bit as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the stories of, and we look at it as fanciful stories now, but you had some of the knights for King Arthur that fought dragons. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, dragons are basically dinosaurs, right? Except
Right.
they don't necessarily fly.
Well, that's
But,
like the word dinosaur wasn't invented until the 1800s. So even in the Bible, people are like, why didn't they talk about dinosaurs in the Bible? Well, they did, but they called them dragons because that was the word.
Yeah. And there's lots of, again, that's a rabbit hole you can go down where the Bible discusses dinosaurs, the Bible discusses giants, the Bible, and again, I don't know that that's stuff that I would ever be able to explain. And I'm sitting there talking about how we nerd out over this stuff, but even the Bible stuff, that's one of my little sidetracks that I like to delve into as well.
Right.
The whole Earth is 6,000 years old. Well, I'm not a theologian. However you say it, right?
Theologian.
But I'm not an English speaker.
Right.
When you're going through Genesis, and the father of the son, and then the next one, and goes on down. I don't know that those are actually like saying Bill and then my son. I think it's a family of Bill, and then as you go down the lineage, it's the family of, because it also mentions in the Bible that Jesus would be a son of David. And we know Jesus is not the son of David, except in the long haul.
Right.
The long
He just came from the line of David.
Right, exactly. And again, we're going into stuff where the way they use phrases is different. I remember being in 87, 88, 86 in school, and we used the words atomic and nuclear, meaning something was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
And can you imagine? I could imagine now reading something I may have written to a friend of mine on a piece of paper that somebody finds 10,000 years ago. Oh, these kids were 15 and 16 years old, and they were working in nuclear engineering.
Yes, I know.
Right.
He was a nuclear physicist.
So you start getting into the vernaculars, and it's something, again, it's something I'll never be able to explain.
I know.
But
It's interesting to talk about.
Figure it out.
That's the fun part. It is about to figure it out, Bill. It's like, okay, if they had pictures of them, that some of them are pretty accurate,
pretty detailed, yeah.
Pretty detailed.
Right.
It's like, I mean, they got the scales and stuff on them, and they had the direct dimensions on like the horns and stuff. It's like, that's fascinating.
But they've got the paintings of what looked like long neck dinosaurs, like what I grew up calling a brontosaurus.
Yeah.
In the field with bison.
Right.
Yeah.
But does that mean that could there have been stories that went along then, and where some of these bones of these giant megafauna were found? And yes, your great granddad, he used to chase these. He's what killed that big bone that we got on display over here.
Right.
And
That's
it really
funny.
wasn't. We don't know how that worked out.
Yeah.
All right, now switching.
Interesting if it did.
Yeah, right. Now switching gears, let's talk about your Bigfoot films and your filmmaking. So what got you involved in that?
So I got into filmmaking as a offshoot of my photography. And the first film I did was a short film called The Tramping Ground. We have the Devil's Tramping Ground here in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And it was loosely based on that. And from there, I told you I'm an outdoorsman. I wrote for 16 different newspapers, a weekly outdoors column, 10 years.
Nice.
And so I knew how to write. I went to college to be a writer. And I decided to try to write my own script. And I wanted something I just didn't feel like there was a lot of good Bigfoot movies.
Yeah.
Right.
So my first script was the one you see over my shoulder called The Great Dismal. And I'm happy to say the script was really good. And I'm sad to say that was my first film. So give me a little cushion.
Hey, that's pretty good
Oh,
though.
right
You
on,
got it
yeah.
made.
You know, we had a great time filming it. I had a great cast. I wrote it for COVID, meaning that I never had more than 2 actors on set at a time.
Right on.
There was never more than 2 actors in a scene at a time. And then I was kind of the do-it-all. I was the filmmaker. I was the director. I was the audio guy. I did have an AD that helped me with some stuff. And then, when we were doing our scenes in what was our pretend Great Dismal Swamp, I had more behind the scenes photographers than I actually had people working with me filming the scenes.
Wow.
But I wanted that for the actors as well.
Sure.
BTS stuff is really good for myself, for my actors. It brings interest to it. So that's where the Great Dismal came from. And that was a Bigfoot movie. And a good way to explain it is like a Scooby-Doo mystery.
Love it.
It's, Farmer John was the scarecrow. You pull the mask off. But even when I did my outdoors column, I wrote very circular. So where I would start is kind of where I would finish. And that's the way the Great Dismal is. And then I did a mockumentary. It's up here called The Incredulous Case of Aliens, U.S. Government, and Arnie Smith. And that's based on a true story. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but the guy that told me the story, I couldn't get him on camera, so I wrote parts for 3 different people to put this mockumentary together. And then I did a mockumentary on Something Walks in the Woods, which is based on a viral, like a TikTok style video where somebody sees this figure walking across the woods from their house every day. And I just built the mythos for that, and I'm actually filming the sequel to that.
Nice.
I've got about 20 minutes of it shot and filmed and edited so far.
Awesome.
And then off of The Incredulous Case, I had people contact me because they thought it was real. And they were telling me their experiences. So I said, based on that, the government came out and said there were UFOs. That they explained that they were otherworldly and they could not be explained.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they named it UAPs at that point and that type of stuff.
Right.
So, what if these people that have been abducted and have had these closer encounters, what if they're not all crazy? What if it's not just made up stories?
No, they're not.
So
there's a lot of them.
Let's interview it. Let's interview them and go into it not as a skeptic, but just let them tell their story.
Yeah, exactly.
And in the process, I've found a lot of the stories have commonalities in it.
Yeah.
The purpose behind it was, again, to let them tell their story and let others know that they aren't crazy if they've experienced something similar.
And we've had
like a coming out party.
We've had several people on our other show that we've had talked to that have been abducted and told their stories.
Yeah.
And I know
that's how I met Grizz was through, shooting the encounter stuff.
Right on.
One of the people in the group that was following me, I think, is the one that put us together. And we've got several, I think like Lala Bright was.
Lala's a good friend of ours. Yeah, Lala's been abducted so many times, it's not even funny.
Exactly.
That's funny. That's what I was about to mention Lala, and you said her before I did. So
yeah, and the stories are the stories are out there, but isn't that what you would expect? And I've mentioned this in several interviews. Which is scarier? The fact that somebody has been abducted by an alien, had that type of encounter, or the fact that somebody believes they were abducted by an alien?
Well, just
neither one of them makes me feel good.
No, I don't like either one of them.
Yeah. See, mathematically to me though, there's no way that we're the only life force in this whole universe. It's just mathematically impossible for one. And I've never been abducted, but I've been visited several times.
Yeah. And see, now, stretch out here a little bit.
Get comfortable.
I was warned as I got into this that it's going to get deeper and deeper and harder on me. And I mean, you see lights in the night sky, right? It's a common thing, especially now. Yeah. And I mean, you can't go to a UFO group a week without somebody saying, I saw 15 of them in a line, but it's Starlink.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
There are things that can be explained. But I've got actual footage that I've taken with the camera that I'm looking into right now of stuff that I can't explain.
Well, I'll tell you this, dude. The night that they had the Aurora Borealis that came south, dude, we were outside, and I know where my stars are. Pretty much I know what planets are out there. We were getting stuff that was going in, going out, going in, and it'd do it on command. And I'd be like, could you move to my left? And it would move over to my left, or it would go north, or it goes south on command. And that ain't a star, and that ain't an airplane. And this is the funny part about it, dude. There were my buddy Matt, he's an Army helicopter guy. And he has a tracking thing. He can tell you how many helicopters are up in the sky that are putting off IFR. We counted a total of 24 at one time. That what they were doing, dude, is they were circling, doing a figure eight. And any military person knows that is a search and rescue technique, or it's looking for something.
Yeah.
Thank you for the super sticker.
One of the people I interviewed for Encounters, he was in episode 3 of the first season. Les Durant, he calls them in regularly, and he lives at the Tennessee, North Carolina, Georgia border.
I think we might have had Les on a show.
Yeah, I think Les has talked with, I don't know if he's talked with Grizz at one point or not. He's been on several podcasts. And
I think he was on mine and Luciano's show that I do after the show.
And super nice guy.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah, he can call them in, and he's got his FlightAware pulled up. So if he sees one, he'll look and make sure it's not an airplane that's on FlightAware. Right. Several weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, we had a partial moon.
Yeah.
And I was working here at the office, and I was working late that night. I got off about 8, got to the house about 8:15, carried my camera gear inside the house, came back out to get some more stuff out of the Jeep. And I just look up at the sky now all the time.
Me too.
And I saw this little green light flying. So if we got the moon here, the green light was kind of going like this.
Yeah.
And I knew it wasn't the ISS. I know it. The ISS is bright white.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a green tint.
And I think every now and then, I think the ISS every now and then will show off a red light and sometimes a green light as well. Because you look at it with the naked eye, it looks like 3 different objects.
Yeah. I saw the ISS when I was in Colorado looking for the Aurora. And as soon as I saw it, I said, that's the ISS. And I pulled up the ISS locator on my phone. And yep, that was it. Yeah. But I saw the green light. Well, I stood out there and I watched it as it faded off. And I ended up watching 5 more of these. Going at different angles. And it seemed very odd just to see these.
It was very interesting. What was funny about those
than a plane. They were smaller than what I would see a plane fly over the house.
What was funny for us, we had a friend of ours that called us from Florida over there in the Panhandle, and we're in South Carolina at the time, and we're watching exactly the same thing they're doing, they're telling us what it's doing. We're telling them what it's doing. It's like it was so connected. There's like somebody 500 miles away from us, we were seeing the same exact thing, you know?
Exactly,
Right.
and that's what I'm getting to. The next, I told my wife about it. Well, the next day, the North Carolina UFO group that I'm in, because I'm in all these UFO groups now.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned, did anybody see the green lights by the moon?
Yes.
And I responded. I said, yeah, I saw them. It was about 8:38 when I saw the first one, and it lasted for about 20 minutes. I saw 6 of them total. And she said that was the same time frame, except she's 150 miles from me.
Right.
Wow.
That means it won a plane.
Okay, you saw this in Colorado while we saw it in South Carolina. What is that? 1,000 miles, 1,500 miles away?
Well, that just goes to show you exactly how high and how bright those things are.
Yeah.
Right.
This is not low. Yeah, this is not low level flight by any means.
That's
even a satellite, if 150 miles apart, a satellite is not going to be the same time frame 150 miles apart.
Nope.
Right.
So I thought that was, that to me that goes down as a sighting. If it wasn't, I did pull up my thing. I didn't show any satellites tracking through there.
Yeah.
The first time I saw, when I was filming Incredulous Case, I was about 15 miles outside of Roswell, New Mexico.
Oh, nice.
And stayed there the night. There's a look there. You don't have to have an interstate to have a rest stop. They got rest stops on just
they do.
Yeah. And I saw 2 satellites going south to north, not quite side by side, kind of like this. And they trailed off. I looked it up, and in the film, I left it as a UFO, but it told me it was it's called Tandem X, and it's 2 satellites that fly side by side, and it's the way they send signals and stuff like that. So I was able to identify that, but I thought it would be cool for the film, and I filmed it,
Yeah, right
as
on.
I saw them fly by. But that's the thing. A lot of the stuff you can't identify.
Yeah.
Because the green light stuff, it did not show up on anything that I have that can track. Could it be a spy satellite? Sure. But that was a bunch of them, and it's only that one night that I've seen them. And again, I don't typically see green.
No.
Right.
And it was green like what we see on the bottom of our channel here.
Interesting.
With the names that are popping up.
Everybody out there, if you're enjoying the content, hit us with those super stickers like just happened a second ago, or those super chats that help us keep this content going. There, I had to pay bills. Sorry.
Yeah. Now, Bill, this is fascinating, dude. Everything we've talked about tonight has just been, like you said, we got to nerd out about it. And I love getting to nerd out about a lot of stuff. And this is like, you're talking about language of fossils and Bigfoot and aliens and stuff like that. And I'd love to be able to. Are your documentaries and movies and stuff, are they online where people can watch them?
Yeah, the Great Dismal is on. Well, Great Dismal, Something Walks in the Woods, and Encounters, the complete interviews. All 3 of those are on Tubi.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
they're on Amazon Prime.
Nice.
They're on Balsam. Something Walks in the Woods is on a ton of streamers.
Dude, you just made my day, because I get to work home from like 2 or 3 days a week every week, and those days I look for stuff like that to watch. So Wednesday I'll be watching every episode you've done of Encounters.
And speaking of Tubi, by the way, if y'all don't know, Tubi just overtook the spot from Disney Plus. Tubi is now bigger than Disney Plus. So.
Get out of here! I like that, because I love me.
Thank you for the super sticker.
Yeah,
thank you, Susan.
You guys are
Tubi is great for independent filmmakers.
Yep.
It pays. Am I frozen?
Yeah.
I mean, but we can hear
me, though, right?
We can still hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if I'm going to talk while I try to get this going again.
There you go. You're back.
You're back.
Whoa. Hey, you were there, but now you're not.
There you go.
Well,
that was a quick abduction.
Yeah.
Wow.
And see, a lot of people don't know about Tubi. Tubi's like the best thing because it's free.
Yep.
And you got so much content on there.
And it's good content. I mean, whatever you want. If you want a dumb C movie, just to relax to, they got it. If you want some grade A, like cinematic stuff, they got it.
They got it. Hell,
thank you for the super sticker.
I'm a big fan of Tubi, and I've made some good money off of Tubi, off the films. The Encounters, like I said, we came out with Encounters maybe a month. We were on air before Encounters from Steven Spielberg came out on Netflix.
Nice.
And that's good because it'll drive viewers to you guys.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I joked about it on social media about, in fact, when you know how Facebook has the memories.
Yeah.
I pulled up memories and said, see, I told you, mine was a year before Amblin Entertainment even mentioned Encounters.
See, dude, that's awesome, man.
Right.
Yeah, and it's great when you get your content out there.
Two seasons are out there.
Okay.
But the second season isn't on Prime or Tubi yet. I'm waiting for it to get the second season to go live, and I've started filming season 3. Okay. And season 3 will be a little bit different than the first 2 seasons. The first 2 seasons we have, each season has 6 episodes with 5 interviews per season.
Right.
The episodes 5 and 6 are a split interview, meaning that it was a long interview that we kind of cut in half. And that
was me sending you a friend request.
An hour and a half episodes enough. And then season 3, we're going into it's still people that are having these encounters, but they have reasons for their encounters. And this goes to the paranormal. This goes to the religious side.
Yeah.
So it's going a little bit different angle where we actually try to explain some of it by the person that has had the encounters.
Well, this hour went by fast.
Yeah, it sure did. Bill, how does everybody find you and get a hold of you?
Well, I'm on Facebook under Bill Howard. The name of my production company is Whirly Gig Pictures. If you've had an encounter, and it can be with UFOs, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, whatever, Jersey Devil, whirlygigpictures@gmail.com. Feel free to contact me. Again, I don't go into these interviews as a skeptic. I'm more of the George Norrie Coast to Coast AM style interview. And because, there are people that are faking it, but there's a lot of people that they really believe this happened, and whether their whole story is true or not. We can go to the conspiracy with the government. We had MK Ultra, for instance.
Right.
You've got the ones where you can have a certain narrative added onto, because once you have something that has changed your life like that, it's easy to fall prey to the falsehoods of it.
Right.
Because
Bill,
it
was an honor, man.
Every little thing is what triggers.
Yeah, it was an honor to meet you, and I do hate to have to get off, but I have another show in 30 minutes. So I sent you a friend request as well, dude, and I will jump on your movies on Wednesday when I'm sitting here at the house.
Appreciate it, Blake.
Thank you, guys.
We're going to call it. And from coast to coast around the world, everybody, have a good night. Take care.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you for all the stickers, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
near you.